Hey everyone, this is Lori Delk and this is lesson number 6, and I'm going to talk about making it memorable, developing engaging introductions and conclusions. So this section is going to focus on grabbing the audience's attention at the start, as well as leaving a lasting impression at the end. So, have you ever started a conversation only to find your mind drifting, like, before the first sentence even finished? Or perhaps you listened intently to a talk and then only to realize that at the end, you can't recall its main message, like if as if it just evaporated, right? Did you get home from church and your mom asked you, "Oh, what did you learn in Sunday school today?" We've all been there, right? Both as listeners and even perhaps as a speaker too. The truth is, many brilliant ideas are not lost in the middle of the speech, but it's just at the very beginning and at the end. So, one thing you want to do, the first thing, is to introduce the topic and its significance. So, example would be like to say, today we unlock the secrets to making it memorable, developing engaging introductions and conclusions. These aren't just bookends for your speech, they are the strategic gateways that welcome your audience and the powerful final notes that echo long after you've finished. They're quite simply where your speech lives or where it dies in the minds of your listeners. So, the next you want to state the goal for that session. My aim today is to equip you with creative techniques and strategic mindset to craft openings that instantly capture people's attention and closings that are going to leave a profound, lasting impression that's going to transform your presentations from those fleeting moments into unforgettable experiences. And then next, you want to briefly outline what you're going to cover. So today, we're going to explore why introductions and conclusions are so critical. We're going to delve into proven strategies for crafting compelling openings. And then we're going to master the art of delivering a powerful but memorable close that resonates with your audience. So the next is the critical why and the power of the first and the last impression. So your primary effect, your grand entrance. Think about it. Like, think about when you're meeting someone new. That initial impression often sets the tone for the entire relationship, right? Your first impression. It's called the primacy or primary effect. Your introduction is your audience's first encounter with your message, with your personality, and with your credibility. So a strong start isn't just polite, it's a strategic necessity to grab their attention, especially in today's distracted world. People are looking at this all the time, right? You have mere seconds to capture your audience's focus and then establish relevance. Show them why they should care about your topic right now. Why is that important? And then build credibility. Signal that you're prepared, that you're confident, and that you're knowledgeable. And then preview your message. Give them a roadmap so they know what to expect. And then next is it's called the recency effect. But it's basically your lasting legacy. So just like the beginning is crucial, so is the end. It's what your audience hears last is often what they remember most vividly. So your conclusion is your final opportunity to summarize your key ideas, to reinforce your main points, ensuring clarity, to reiterate your thesis, to drive that home, your core message one last time, to leave them with a motivating action or a thought, like inspire them to do something, to think differently, or to reflect on their life. And then leave that memorable impression. Conclude with impact, with emotion, or a powerful call that is going to resonate with them, right? Then you have the bridge of connection. So, how do you go from silence to impact? Without a strong start, your audience might never truly arrive. But on the same note, without a powerful finish, then your message risks just fading into oblivion. So, introductions and conclusions are not just segments, they are the vital bridge that connects you and your message to the minds and hearts of your listeners. So, the next section we're going to talk about is the art of the hook. So, how do you craft that engaging introduction? So, your goal is to have immediate engagement with your people within 1 minute. So, your introduction has a multifaceted job. You need to gain attention, you need to establish rapport, and you need to reveal your topic and your purpose, and you need to preview all your main points. So, how do you do that? So, a few strategies for grabbing attention is ask a rhetorical question. Pose a question that makes your audience think without expecting an immediate verbal answer. So, for example, what if the solution to our biggest problem was right under our nose? Right? What if it was right in the Bible? Imagine that. And then start with a startling statistic or a fact, like that shock or surprise. Give them compelling data. For example, every 60 seconds, an astonishing amount of plastic enters our oceans, right? Find some compelling statistic and then tell a compelling story or anecdote, like humanize your topic and draw listeners in with a narrative. So, like, especially if you're talking about the Bible, you want to humanize it for today's reference, right? But ensure it's brief and relevant. I'll never forget the day I saw blank, right? Add something in there. And then use a powerful quote. A relevant and an impactful quote can immediately lend authority or emotion, like as Maya Angelou once wisely said. And then you can also employ humor with caution. A well placed, appropriate joke or humorous observation could break the ice. But of course, you need to know your audience and you don't want to force it, right? But you can begin also with a challenge or a problem. So immediately, present an issue that resonates with your audience. Like currently we're facing a crisis of, we had the crisis of COVID, for a few years, right? So whatever it is, we're currently facing blank. And then use a vivid description or imagery. Paint a picture with words that kind of transports your audience. Imagine a world where, imagine when Adam and Eve were in the garden and paint the picture. Remember that your introduction must lead seamlessly into your topic. So don't just use a gimmick for shock value if it doesn't connect to your core message. And then you want to establish credibility, right? So after the hook, you want to establish that credibility. So briefly and subtly mention your experience, your research, your qualifications on the topic. I spent a decade researching. I've been speaking at events for over 30 years, right? Example. And then state your thesis clearly. Your idea should be unmistakable. Today, I will show you how X leads to Y. And then preview your main points. Give your audience a clear roadmap of your speech's structure. We'll first explore A, and then we'll move to B, and then finally we will discuss C. This helps them follow along and mentally organize the content. And then get the unforgettable exit. So you want to craft a powerful conclusion. And your goal is to have lasting resonance, right? Your conclusion is your last chance to make an impact, to solidify your message, and to inspire action or reflection. It should leave your audience feeling informed, moved, or motivated, or all the above. But the key components for a strong conclusion typically does three things. You signal the end. You use phrases like in conclusion, or to summarize, or before we end. And then you want to summarize your main points. So briefly remind your audience your key takeaways. And then reinforce your thesis. State your core message one final and impactful time. And then a few different strategies for a more memorable exit is beyond summarizing, making it stick. So refer back to your introduction. This creates a powerful sense of unity and completion. If you started with a story, then finish that story. Excuse if you asked a question at the beginning, then answer it. End with a powerful call to action. So for persuasive speeches, clearly tell your audience what you want them to do, what you want them to think, what you want them to feel, right? At the end of a sermon, a lot of times it's a call to action to come forward to the altar. Make it specific, make it achievable. I urge you to consider X and take action Y today. And then use a dramatic statement or challenge. So, a bold, thought provoking statement that just makes them ponder, right? So, for example, the future of Z truly rests in your hands. The future of the people's souls out that aren't saved rests in your hands if you don't go out witnessing. Conclude then with a quote, like a well chosen quote that encapsulates your message or your theme. Or you can tell a final story, like a short, impactful anecdote that provides emotional resonance. And then you can visualize for the future. Paint a picture of the world if your message is embraced or if it's ignored, also. And then finally, express gratitude. A sincere thank you to your audience for their time and their attention. Your conclusion shouldn't introduce new information. It's literally about solidifying what you've already presented. And so then you want to practice your opening and closing over and over. These two parts are often the most practiced, and for good reason. You want to rehearse them until they flow naturally and powerfully. Your confidence in these moments are going to set the tone and leave that final impression for your audience. And so in conclusion, you want to recap for your audience. Today, we focused on the critical importance of crafting engaging introductions and powerful conclusions. These are the gateways to your message. They define how it's received as well as how it's remembered. And then you want to reiterate the motivational aspect. So remember, you have a voice and your message matters. So don't let it fade before it even begins or vanish as soon as you stop speaking. Do you want people to remember when they get home and their mom asks them what was talked about or preached about or what did you learn in the lesson, right? With intentional introductions and impactful conclusions, you seize the opportunity to truly connect and leave a lasting mark. And so the final call to action, call to inspirational thought. I challenge you to treat your next introduction not as a hurdle, but as an invitation for your audience to embark on a journey with you. And then treat your conclusion not as an ending, but as a launching pad, a catalyst for continued thought, action, and change. Because when you master these strategic moments, you don't just give a speech, you create an experience. So go forward, make every word count, especially those first ones and the last ones, as they are the keys to unlocking a truly memorable message that you're going to be able to share with people and that people are going to actually remember. So I hope this helped you. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you in the next lesson.